Good evening, guys. Once again, welcome to Jack's Slayter Notes and like, share, and subscribe and everything. So, this is discussion set 8. We already did 7 set of this 30 MCQ with some elaborate notes based on CDP and in general pedagogy that is necessary for upcoming CTET examination on September 6th or necessarily Assam based any other test that needs teaching aptitude those knowledge. So without wasting any time, let's start. Question number 1: which of the following is an example of extrinsic motivation? Options are: reading book for enjoyment, that is intrinsic. Whatever we do for our enjoyment, our self-sufficiency, it's extrinsic. So painting because one loves are same as the first one. Option 3: studying to receive praise from parents, that is extrinsic because you are doing something to get outside acknowledgement, that is praise from your parents. So that is the example. Solving puzzles for curiosity, that is also intrinsic. So the only one that is extrinsic here is study to receive praise from parents. Yes, option 3 is your answer. So, what is intrinsic motivation? Intrinsic motivation refers to doing an activity because it is personally enjoyable, interesting, or satisfying, not because of external rewards or pressure. The motivation comes from within the individual. So, you get the point. Intrinsic motivation is something you do for your self sufficiency, self enjoyment, for your own interest and not some external rewards. So their characteristics are based on personal interest and curiosity, gives inner satisfaction and pleasure, encourage creativity and independent learning, long lasting and self-directed. Because when you do something for your own self, for your own, that comes from within yourself, it helps in long lasting of your attitude, motivation, that change your attitude. So example is reading a book for enjoyment because you are doing that for yourself, not some you know profit or some praise or some outside push. You are doing it for yourself. Solving a puzzle out of curiosity, studying a subject because one loves learning it. So here's the thing: intrinsic motivation is helpful. How, for example, you love physics and chemistry and all those technical subjects, so you go to science and study, right? But that is intrinsic motivation. You genuinely love that, so you go in that direction, you go in that stream, and that helps you what achieve good things in life. Because then again, if you then again some other kids who get good marks in 10 standards but not really interested in science and everything, but parents force him to go there, he would never really, maybe he for a job, he think if he do good in science, he will get a good job. For job purposes, if he does it, that extrinsic motivation, he will not get self fulfillment from that. So that's sort of things. Extrinsic motivation is refers to doing an activity to gain external rewards or avoid punishment. The motivation comes from outside the individual. Characteristics are influenced by reward, praise, mark, or punishment. Even punishment, you doing homework because you don't want to get punished. Often temporary because it is temporary. Intrinsic is permanent, but extrinsic is temporary because you get it because it's a short lived, not long term, because you are doing that outside, for others, for fear, for rewards, for praise, for marks, or whatever. You are not doing that for yourself, for own self fulfillment. So it depends on external factor. Examples are studying to get good marks, working for salary or promotion, completing homework to avoid punishment. You understand those sorts of things. Question number 2: inclusive education aims to do what? Separate children with disabilities from others. That is not the whole point of inclusive education. Providing equal learning opportunity to all learners. If you do equal learning for all learners, then if one is slow learner, how he will Get a class may be a slow learner, a class may have a slow learner, a fast learner, a gifted student. Some children, with disabilities, with learning disabilities. So if you do the provide equal learner for all, learning opportunities for all, this is not including, because you are doing equal. Maybe a fast kid could get the point, but a slow kid would not. So it is not the option. Teach only academic gifted student, that is false. So use identical teaching methods for everyone, that is also false. So what is the correct answer? Inclusive education aims to provide equal learning. Yes. Wait a second. So what I was talking about was, equity based, that is diverse learning techniques used by student to. But if you provide equal learning opportunities to all, here's the answer is, if you do it equal learning opportunities, not similar. Here was my mistake. Equal learning opportunity for all learners is the answer, because not the option did not say similar learning. You are doing equal. Whoever needs what, you are doing that. So yes, equal learning opportunities for all learners is the answer, not similar. That's my mistake. Alright. Inclusive education is what? Is an approach in which all children, including children with disabilities, special needs, learn together in the same classroom and school environment without discrimination. It aims to provide equal opportunities for learning by respecting the diversity. Yes, that is the thing. The option says what? Equal learning opportunity to all learners. But here's the thing. It provides equal learning opportunities by respecting the diversity, abilities, and background of every child. It's inclusion, meaning you are not just providing similar academic standardized course. You are doing whoever these kids needs. If a disabled kids needs something, you are doing that. Then a gifted kid needs something, you are doing that for also. So for him also, features of inclusive education are equal participation of all children's, child centered, because your point of view with the child, you are teaching from a based of what that is good for child, that your first priority is the children's that in the class, not yourself, or not to complete the course or syllabus, that sort of thing. It's purely child centered, respect for individual differences. Yes, all kinds of diverse students are there, so you have to respect their individual differences. One might have something, some regional thing that he knows, so you have to respect that. Not just scientific method of things we have to do in respect to the regional diverse society. Barrier free and supportive environment, and cooperation among teacher, parents, and community. Objectives are to ensure education for every child, to develop social adjustment and confidence, to remove discrimination and prejudice, to promote equality and democratic values. And the advantages are: improve social interaction among children, develop empathy and cooperation, enhance self-esteem of children with special needs, and creates a positive and accepting environment. It's pretty much self-explanatory. These are very helpful. Inclusive education. Sometimes inclusive classroom is tough, maybe hard for teacher, but for student ultimately it's very useful and helpful. Question number 3. A teacher asks students to discuss and solve problems in group. This approach promotes what? Passive learning, cooperative learning, rote memorization, or punishment-based learning. So clearly, when you are in a group and to try solve them, it's cooperative learning. So the answer is cooperative learning. Question number 4. Which of the following is a characteristic of formative assessment? So what is formative assessment? Formative assessment, the assessment that is ongoing. You are teaching a class, and you did one paragraph of talking about some historic figure, and after the para finish, you just to recall you answer, you question someone, so what happened in this line. For example, a king do something shady to get to his throne, but it was in first line. But then when you end the paragraph, you ask a question based on the first line that you teach, to understand if the kids is getting the point, or if the kid is really attentive in class, and all those things. Conducting only at the end of the session. Options are here. Conducted only at the end of the session is something that is summative assessment. Help improve teaching and learning during instruction. So when you are instructing the class, you are doing formative assessment, so it helps improve teaching and learning during instruction. That is your answer. Is mainly for ranking student, that is also summative, focus only on marks obtained, that is some other things. So the answer is help improve teaching and learning during instruction. Many types of assessment are there, but here's for current elaboration and understanding. Number one is diagnostic assessment, that is done before learning begins. It helps identify students' prior knowledge, right? Strengths and weaknesses. Example, pre-test or entry quizzes. When you go into the classroom, you just try to understand their previous knowledge. So you get some quizzes and everything. If you are going to teach solar system, so just ask them what planet we are on and how many planets are there. Those sort of things. You are diagnosing their previous knowledges. Then come formative assessment, that is done during the learning process, used to monitor progress, improve teaching learning. Example, class discussion, quizzes, assignment, feedback. It is, for example, like you did the diagnostic, you started you know teaching them about solar system. So after uh, teaching them the characteristics of planet, at the middle of the, you just ask what are asteroids, as you already taught them, lecture them about, or teach the lesson. Suddenly you just ask what are asteroids, what are meteoroids, what are asteroid belts, or what is the special feature of Mars, and what is the hottest planet, that sort of thing. Then comes summative assessment, that is done at the end of the learning period, measures overall achievement, that is just final exam, all these things. All right, now question number five. According to Kohlberg, moral development depends primarily on what? Physical growth. So physical growth can be about moral development. A person can be a physically, you know, great khali, but morally can be a damage in idiots. Rewards and punishment only. Moral development depends on what? Not rewards and punishment. That's not going to be helpful here. Imitation of adults only. No, that's just Bandura's idea, but that not moral development is about reasoning about ethical issues. So the answer is reasoning about ethical issues. You are reasoning about what is right and wrong. You are asking yourself what that decision would impact you in your lifetime. That sorts of things. Question number six. A child says a child says the moon is following me everywhere I go. This reflects what? Conservation, animism, reversibility, or classification. The moon is reflecting wherever I go. This reflects animism, meaning the kid is thinking that he is the main character and everything has life. And all right, so here are the explanation. So when you are 2 to 7 years old, the stage is called pre-operational stage. So what happens in pre-operational stage here? Transductive reasoning from one specific situation to another specific situation without logical connection. For example, I was naughty, so it started raining. Kids sometimes say, so I was bad, that's why you know ice cream man did not come. That sort of thing. You are kid, you don't understand what is going on. So that is called transductive reasoning. Then come irreversibility, inability to mentally reverse an action. A child cannot understand that flattened clay can be shaped into a ball again. So a child cannot understand irreversibility, the things that for example, if a child blow on a balloon and it got big and he thinks, all right, this is his size, but when the air came out, child cannot comprehend that idea that you know it can go back in that same size and position and same situation. So that is called irreversibility. Then comes centration, focusing on only one aspect of a situation while ignoring others. Example, thinking a taller glass has more water even if both glass contain equal. Maybe a fatter glass and taller glass. The kids only know that tall glass contain more water, but maybe diameter wise there is a fatter glass. You don't get that point. You don't understand that. You cannot comprehend this. So that is concentration. Because the age is 2 to 7, so it's very not helpful here. Egocentrism is difficulty seeing things from another person's point of view. The child assumes everyone sees what they see, obviously. Now come animism. So what animism is, believing non-living things have feeling or life also. Likewise, the morning following me, the child says morning is following me, is a part of animism because he thinks all non-living things have feelings or life. Example, he's walking, so he thought, what, the moon is following him. Question number 7. Which of the following practices is most suitable for a progressive classroom? Lecture based teaching. Lecture based teaching is one way teaching, so it's not most suitable for progressive classroom. Encouraging exploration and inquiry, that is actually very much important. If a classroom, a teacher, a mentor, a facilitator encourage you to explore and inquiry about things by your own, that is most important and most suitable for a progressive classroom. Strict memorization and punishing encourage, they are not. So the answer is encouraging exploration and inquiry. Question number 8. Dyslexia mainly affects a child's ability to hearing properly. No, dyslexia mainly ability affects a child's ability to read and interpret words. So the answer is 3. Read and interpret words. Question number 9. Children. We talk about all kind of learning disabilities in the other video. This is the 8th one. We already did 7. So check them out if you have any confusion about learning disabilities and all. Children learn gender roles primarily through what? Hereditary alone? No. Socialization process. Actually, children learn about gender through socialization process. Biological maturation, that's just sex. But through socialization process, children learn about genders. As gender roles, female does this and man does this. So socialization process is the answer. Question number 10. Which of the following best describe constructivist learning? Learners actively construct knowledge. Obviously, there is the one best describe constructivist learning. Answer is learner actively construct knowledge. Question number 11. Which of the following is most important for effective inclusive classroom? Uniform teaching for all learners. So that is not inclusive. Like we talked about earlier, the uniform, the similar, it's not really helpful. You just have to flexible about who needs what. A slow child may need this and the fast child may need that, this sort of thing. So the answer should be flexible teaching method. Ignoring excessive competition, these are not most important for effective classroom. So the answer is flexible teaching methods. Question number 12. A teacher encourages students to reflect on their own learning process. This develops. A teacher encourages students to reflect on their own learning. It's very important for a kid to reflect on their own learning. So what they develop through this is metacognition because they think about their own thinking and that helps in the process of reflecting their own learning process. Metacognition. Metacognition is something thinking about thinking. Question number 13. Children with autism spectrum disorder often benefit from what? Highly unpredictable routines with sensory support and structure and punishment based teaching or complete social isolation. So, autism spectrum disorder is a brain disorder. So, one benefit, a child benefit from sensory support, right? Structure environment, not something unpredictable is very much destructive for them. So, answer is two. Sensory support and structured environment is your answer. Question number 14. Which of the following best promotes critical thinking? Asking open-ended question, encouraging blind memorization, discourage discussion, giving ready-made answer. So 2, 3, 4 are just dumb. Blind memorization is wrong. Discouraging discussion is totally wrong. Giving ready-made answer is just memorization. So what promote critical thinking is asking open-ended questions. So that is your answer. Question number 15. In Bloom's taxonomy, analysis refers to the ability to do what? Recall facts, breaking information into parts and examine relationship, or repeat definition, memorize formulas. You understand that analysis meaning break information into parts and examine relationships. So that is your answer. So let's talk about Bloom's taxonomy. We did not talk about this theory. Likewise, we talk about that every video. We talk about some different theory, and it's going to be helpful because we cannot do all the theory in one video, so it gets too long. So, what is Bloom taxonomy? Benjamin Bloom proposed Bloom taxonomy in 1956 to classify educational learning objectives, basically how students learn and how deeply they understand something. It is widely used in teaching, lesson planning, exams, and assessment and curriculum design. The idea is simple. Learning moves from simple thinking to complex thinking. Because you started from the bottom, then you get up there. So that is the whole taxonomy of Bloom's. Benjamin Bloom is started from the bottom, then you go up, because you have to, you cannot just cross 17 step and go to the last chairs. You have to start from the bottom. So it has six cognitive level arise from lower order thinking to the higher order thinking. So first is what? Knowledge, then comprehension, then application, then analyze, then synthesis, then evaluation. But it was the first one, they revised it again. Later it was revised. So revised Bloom taxonomy most common today. That was 1956 one, but this one is revised later. Created by Bloom student, including most common today, that is today. Uh, Created by who? Bloom student, including students including Lauren Anderson. So the level became action verbs. Level one is what? Remember, that is recall facts. What do you know? What do you have already stored in your memory? What do you already know? That is remember, that is recalling fact. Then comes then comes understanding. You have to explain ideas. Can you explain it? What you know, can you explain it? I know about apple. Can you explain apple? That sorts of things. Then apply. Use knowledge. Can you use apple to make a apple pie or something? Then come analyze. Break into parts. The whole process that you do. Can you break into parts? How does it work? One by one. Then come evaluate, judge or justify what is best and why. The outcome that you get, what about it is the best and why it is the best. Then you create, produce something new. Can you recreate something? For example, there are better example I choose. Very small one. So here is Bloom taxonomy pyramid. First is remember, that is recall facts, basic concept, define, duplicate, list, memorize, repeat, state. Then come understanding. Can you explain the ideas, concept, classify, describe, discuss, explain, identify, locate, recognize, report. Then apply, use information in new situation, execute, implement, solve, use, demonstrate, interpret, and operate. Then come analyze, draw connection among ideas, differentiate, organize, relate, compare, contrast, distinguish, examine all this. Then evaluate, justify or stand or decision, appraise, argue, defend, judge, select, support, value, critique, and weigh. Then come grade, that is produce new or original work, design, assemble, construct, conjecture, develop, formulate, investigate, author about them. So here is the explanation. Remember is the lowest form. This is simple memory recall. Student memorize, identify, list, define, recall, define democracy, list the planet, who wrote Hamlet, these sorts of things, because anybody can do that. Student agree learning multiple tables by heart, because they are just remembering facts here. Lowest level, that is why it is, because that is rote memorization sorts of thing. Because define democracy, you don't have to use your brain to define that, you just know what is democracy. List planet, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. That's just, wait a second, Pluto is not planet. So that's just, you are doing that from memory. Who wrote Hamlet? Shakespeare or whoever. You just say that from what? Your memory. Then come understand. And here, understand, here student actually grasp meaning. For example, explain, summarize. Can you explain that? Can you summarize that? Can you interpret this whole thing? Describe in your own word. Can you explain this thing with your own word, in your own language? Explain photosynthesis. Can you explain photosynthesis? Can you summarize this chapter that I taught you? Can you describe Newton's law in your own word? Newton law is Newton law, but can you summarize? Can you use your own word to explain it? That's sort of thing. Difference from remember is equal to what? Repeating facts, but understand, knowing what they mean. Then come apply. Using knowledge in real life or new situation, solve problems, use formulas, demonstrate methods. To solve a formula, you are using mathematical equation. To writing, you are using grammar laws. Solve a mathematical equation using many this and that scientific principle in all explain there. For example, a square plus b square equals c square. You are applying that to solve a problem, right? Student apply the theorem, solve practical triangle problems. So then come analyze. That is breaking information into parts to understand relationship. Students compare, differentiate, examine motives, find cause. For example, compare capitalism and socialism, to understand which one is better and which is work in a what way. Analyze a poem's theme. For example, you read a poem, now you are analyzing poem theme, what the poet was talking about, what's the core value, what's the moral of that. Then identify cause of the world war. Also example, can you identify the cause of the world war, why world war happened. Example is a literature student studies character, motive, symbolism, plot structure instead to merely reading the story, right? I can read a novel, just read it, but when a literature student analyze it, he understand what is the main character motive was, what is the symbolism, what this plot, what this plot represent in of the year of 18th century, how this, those things. Then come evaluate, making judgment using criteria and evidence. Student criticize, defend, opinion, judge effectiveness, justify decision. So example, was the industrial, evaluate is about a bit of debate. Was the industrial revolution beneficial? Evaluate the effectiveness of democracy. Which economic system is better and why? You have to give that why and why it happens and was that really necessary. Can you evaluate it? You know, debatable sorts of thing. Then come important point. Student must give reason, not just opinion. You can just give an opinion about that anything stupid thing like this politician was right, this dictator was right, he did good things, but can you justify that why he, you can just give your opinion about some dictator or some anything that it's right, but can you justify that? Can you give reason why he did that and why is necessary? Maybe for the peace of the world he did that, or maybe he's just a brutal man. These sorts of things. Then come create, that is highest level, producing original work or new ideas. That is student design in, but create something new. Create is the highest level because you are creating total new. For all those, analyzing a poem or evaluating a poet's idea of representation, you then what you do is you started writing a poem. You are creating your own design experience, create a business plan, develop a mobile app. All those are highest because that creation requires remembering knowledge, understanding concept, applying skills, analyzing information, evaluating choice all together. So all five steps that we talked about, remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, all this necessary to create something. That is why it's the highest level of all. So simple real life example here is, remember is what? Memorize recipe, ingredients. You can remember ingredients for a certain dish. Understand is explain why yeast is used. Can you explain why yeast is used in this dish? Then apply, cook the recipe, then analyze, compare to cooking methods. Can you cook in this way? Can you cook in that way? Can you cook in a silverware? Can you cook it in a ironware, cast ironware? Those, it's a different thing. Then comes evaluate, judge which recipe tastes better. You know, which way can you make it to taste better? Then create, then invent your own recipe. When you do too many trial, can you create your own recipe? So educational importance is, Bloom taxonomy helps teacher set learning objective, design exam, encourage critical thinking, and move beyond rote memorization. It's very helpful in educational setting. So let's understand Bloom taxonomy through a simple classroom lesson plan. For example, suppose a teacher is teaching photosynthesis to class A student, right? Topic is photosynthesis. General objective should be student will understand the process of photosynthesis and apply the concept in daily life. That is your general objective. You are entering with general objective. Using Bloom taxonomy in the lesson, what remember is student recall facts. Teacher explain definition. What is photosynthesis? They understand what student explain concept. Student discuss process in their own words. Why do plant need sunlight? Example question they ask using their own brain. Then come apply. Student use knowledge. Perform simple plant experiment. Predict what happens without sunlight. They do a little bit of experiment to understand that why sunlight is too much necessary. That forms in apply. Then come analyze, student examine relationship. Compare landscape in dark versus light. Why do one plant grow well? Then come analyze. They analyze that keeping one tree in light and one tree in dark, and they try to grasp the point how and why did one plant grow poorly without sunlight and one did good in sunlight. Then evaluate, student make judgment, debate importance of plants, is deforestation harmful, why. Then come create, student produce new ideas, make poster, model of photosynthesis, design a chart showing the process. So three domains of Bloom's taxonomy. Most people only study the cognitive domain, but Bloom actually proposed three domains. Domain are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. So cognitive is about thinking and knowledge. Affective is about emotions and attitudes, and psychomotor is about physical skills. So what is cognitive domain? Mental skill and thinking. Example: solving math problem, writing essay. This is the famous six-level taxonomy, right? Affective domain is what? Six level. Cognitive domain, mental skill and thinking. Six level. Famous six-level taxonomy are what? This is remembering, understanding, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. So this is cognitive domain. Then come affective domain. Feelings, values, attitudes. Example: respecting others, developing empathy, appreciating arts. Level go from receiving, responding, valuing, organizing, and characterization. Then comes psychomotor, that is physical and motor skill, riding a bicycle, surgery, typing all. So cognitive domain is thinking domain. It deals with what? The most famous common knowledge, thinking, reasoning, problem solving, intelligence. These domains focus on the mind and intellectual ability. So here comes cognitive domain, that is we already talked about. Remember, understand, apply, analyze, create, and everything. Example of level mathematics, memorizing formula and explain formula. These things we already talked about them. Main goal is to develop critical thinking, understanding, creativity, and intellectual growth. Then come affective domain. Affective domain is about what? Deals with feelings, emotion, values, attitudes, interest, morality. It focuses on how students feel and what they value. Levels of affective domains are: level receiving, that is paying attention, responding is participating actively. Then come valuing, that is simply seeing importance. Then come organizing, that is arranging values into the system. Then come characterization, values become part of that personality. How did that work? When student become aware and listens, they are listening. Listen carefully to teacher, paying attention to class. Responding is wait when student actively participates, answer question, join discussion, talk about teacher about something, clearing his confusions. Then come valuing, student believes something is important, responding honestly, honesty, caring about environment. We talked about environment class. If he received the knowledge, if he respond to it, if he was interested, then he will value it and he will value the environment. Then come organize. Student combines different values, balance, freedom, and responsibility, develop personal ethics. He changing himself over time because he did receive, respond, value, and now organizing. Then come characters in there. He is forming a character. We all born without a personality, right? We started receiving everything from the society, and we choose how we are going to live our life, like through receive, respond, value, and organize, and finally you make your own character, that is characterization. Values become permanent behavior, always helping other, consistently behaving honestly. At this stage, values become part of his character. So main goal is to develop good character, morality, positive attitude, and emotional maturity. Then comes psychomotor domain. That is, this domain focus on physical movement, coordination, motor skill, action-based learning. It involves learning through bodily movement and practice. Skill is riding a bicycle. Example is psychomotor learning. Writing skill and psychomotor learning. For example, riding bicycle is about balance and coordination. Writing is about hand movements control. Surgery is about precision skill. Playing cricket is about physical coordination, and typing is about finger movement accuracy. So most common psychomotor levels, different scholar propose different version, but a common progression is: imitation means copying action, manipulation is performing with guidance, precision performing accurately, articulation combining skills smoothly, and then come naturalization. Skill becomes automatic. So here is the thing. Number one, imitation. Imitation is what? Student copy teacher. Example, copying dance steps because he's imitating. He's learning through imitation. Imitation was by who? Albert Bandura or V.F. Skinner? Write in the comment section if you watch this. Then comes manipulation. Student performs with practice. Example, writing alphabet carefully. Then come precision. Student performs skills accurately. Example, typing without mistake. Then come articulation. Student come combines many skills together. Example, playing musical instruments smoothly. Then come naturalization. Skill become automatic. Example, expert driver driving naturally. So we'll complete this theory. It's very important. It's very important. So watch this again. Bloom taxonomy is very important. CTET examination might come some question from there. So check it out once again and screenshot it if necessary. Then come question number 16. Which of the following is true regarding child development? All children develop at exam same rate? No, that's not necessary. Development occurs only in childhood? Not really. Development occurs throughout our life? Yes. So development is influenced by both heredity and environment. That is correct because that is regarding child development. It influenced by both heredity and environment. Question number 17. Diagnostic assessment is mainly used to do what? Diagnose. Its answer is in the question. You are diagnosing something. So identify student learner difficulties. Learning difficulties is the only answer. Two. You are diagnosing students learning difficulties. Sometimes answer is stays in the questions itself. Question number 18. Assertion. Children learn concept more effectively when teaching is connected to their daily life. That is correct. Reason is learning becomes meaningful when it relates to the learner's environment and prior knowledge. Yes. So assertion is true, reason is true, and it's form a connection of because. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Question number 19. The principle that development the principle that development proceeds from general to specific response is known as what? Cephalocaudal or proximodistal or principle of differentiation or principle of maturation. Principle of development proceeds from general to specific. You know, small to head to toe is what? Cephalocaudal or proximodistal. So center to the outward is principle of wait a second, cephalocaudal and it's principle of differentiation because you are starting from general to the specific. Anyway, this might need an explanation. Yes. The principle of differentiation states that development moves from general response to specific responses. Example, a baby first moves the whole arm randomly. Later, the baby develops the ability to use specific fingers for precise tasks like holding a pencil. So, development becomes more refined and specialized over time. What is cephalocaudal principle? Developed proceed from head to toe. Yes. Proximal distal is development proceed from center to of the body outward. And principle of maturation is growth follows a natural biological timeline. Question number 20. Assertion. Peer interaction can enhance learning. That is true. We learn a lot from our fellow friends, students, peers, because we are not very free with teachers, so we don't cannot clear all the concepts. So, because students often learn effectively by discussing ideas, that is true both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of it. Question number 21. Which strategy is most effective for managing a child with ADHD in classroom? Giving very lengthy instruction? No, you will get, the whole form thing of ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. So, you will just get distracted. Providing short and clear tasks, that is the only when you provide short and clear tasks, he will not get distracted, and that will be very much helpful. Other options, punishing, avoiding, no, they are not very helpful. Question number 22. Human development is influenced by what? It's an influence by not heredity only, not environment only, not luck and coincidence. It's an interaction of heredity and environment. Question number 23. Assertion. Children should be encouraged to ask questions in the classroom. That is correct because questioning promotes curiosity and deeper understanding. Yes, both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of it. Question number 24. Which of the following tasks best develops higher order thinking? Memorizing it's not higher order, it's just the lowest of Bloom taxonomy as we just did. Remembering is the lowest. Copying definition from textbook, that is even dumber. Comparing to historical events critically, so that is a higher. Repeating notes is just basic. So when you compare two historical events critically, you compare about them how this work and what is the reason for that and this. So those things are very high order thinking skills. So the answer is comparing to historical events critically is a high order thinking skill. Question number 25. Reflective thinking involves what? Reflective meaning you are reflecting on something about yourself or others and anything. So carefully analyzing and evaluation of ideas is the only answer, because you are carefully analyzing your ideas and everything. You are evaluating if this is going to be right. Reflective thinking is in a sort of metacognition. Careful analysis and evaluation of ideas. That is your answer. Question number 26. According to Vygotsky, private speech gradually transforms into what? Emotional outburst, no? Inner speech. Private speech, inner speech. Private speech and inner speech are pretty much same thing. Private speech, when you are doing something, you are talking about, kid does that. I am walking, I am swimming. They are saying that because they are kids. So eventually, when we grow up, it turns into inner speech. Like sometimes we talk to ourselves. We always talk to ourselves about ideas and everything, conversation. Sometimes we just sit and talk to ourselves about life and everything, right? We can talk to ourselves. That's inner speech. You are talking to yourself. So when you are kid, you are private speech. You are just speaking. Then it becomes inner speech. Question number 27. Which of the following is an example of observational learning? Solving a puzzle independently. You did not observe anything, so that's not. Learning a dance step by watching others. So now that is observational learning. You are learning something by observing others, imitating others, so that is observational learning. Question number 28. Readiness to learn depends mainly on what? Age alone? No. It's maturation and prior experience, because your physical growth, no, you can be physically very big and can also be dumb. Punishment and rewards only, that always not work. So when you are ready to learn something, that's the best way to learn. You are matured, you have prior experience, and you know everything. So it's the best part is the readiness to learn is the best way to learn. Maturation and prior experience. So what is law of readiness? We already talked about law of exercise, law of readiness, law of something else. We already talked about in the previous video, that was set 7. Check that out. We explained it thoroughly. If you need, you can check them out. Learning occurs between best when the learner is mentally and physically ready. If readiness exists, learner becomes satisfying. If forced without readiness, frustration occurs. Same thing. Teaching advanced algebra to child not mentally prepared may create confusion, obviously. Now, question number 29. Assertion. Positive reinforcement increase desired behavior. Obviously, when you reinforce someone positively, or you give reward for doing a homework, it will obviously increase, because he's happy with positive reinforcement, because rewarding behavior encourage its repetition. That is true. When you reward a certain good behavior, it started repeating. So both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation. And here we are at the last one. Which of the following practice support inclusive education? Respective diversity, that is a part of inclusive education. Flexible teaching, that is also a part of. Labeling children negative, that is totally wrong. So eliminate 3, 2, 3, 4 as 3. So the answer is 1, 2, and 4. Obviously, equal participation of opportunities. So the answer is 1, 2, and 4, not 3. Labeling children, that might fall into stereotype and prejudice. So, and likewise, we are in the end of the video. That is today's is what it's yes, set number 8. We already did set number 8 after this, so it's very good. Thank you for watching. If you watched it, thank you. Like, share, and subscribe, and goodbye, and have a nice day. Thank you for watching.